By law, the Justice Department now has just a week left to release everything it has on Jeffrey Epstein. Today, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee made their own contribution to the public record, putting out several dozen photos that were provided by the Jeffrey Epstein estate. Now, these are just some of the more notable ones. The ranking committee Democrat, Congressman Robert Garcia, calls them, quote, disturbing, and says they, quote, raise even more questions about Epstein and his relationships with some of the most powerful men in the world. To be clear, though, while the photos certainly do include photos of powerful men, the president included, the committee provides absolutely no captions or descriptions to put what we're seeing in any kind of context. And none of the men has ever been charged with any wrongdoing related to Epstein. None of the released images depict any sexual misconduct, nor believed to depict underage girls.
New images connected to Jeffrey Epstein are resurfacing, and once again, they are forcing uncomfortable questions into the public conversation. Tonight, we begin with a crucial reminder before anything else. Photographs can show proximity, not guilt. They capture moments, not motives. And yet, when new or previously unseen images appear showing powerful figures in the same social orbit, the public inevitably asks the same question. What do these connections really mean? Recently circulated photos show Epstein alongside well-known public figures, including Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, and others at different times and in different social settings. These images do not prove wrongdoing. Many were taken years ago, long before Epstein's crimes were fully known or publicly exposed. But they reopen a broader debate about power, access, and accountability at the highest levels of society. Jeffrey Epstein was not a household name for most of his life. He was a financier, a social connector, someone who moved easily through elite circles. He attended events, hosted gatherings, and positioned himself among politicians, business leaders, and celebrities. In those environments, photographs were common, appearances were routine, and social proximity did not automatically raise alarms. Until it did. After Epstein's arrest and subsequent death in custody, public trust fractured. People began re-examining old footage, old photos, and old relationships with new eyes, not to rewrite history, but to understand how someone accused of serious crimes gained such access in the first place. That's where these images matter, not as proof, but as prompts. Donald Trump has acknowledged knowing Epstein socially in the past, as have many others. Bill Clinton has said he severed ties long before Epstein's criminal charges and denies knowledge of any illegal activity. Bill Gates has publicly stated that meetings with Epstein were a mistake and regrets the association. These statements are part of the public record. And still, questions remain. Why did Epstein have such extraordinary access? Why did warning signs go unnoticed or unchallenged for so long? And what does this say about how elite networks operate, where reputation, wealth, and influence can blur judgment? This story isn't about assigning guilt by association. It's about understanding systems. Systems that reward connections. Systems that discourage scrutiny. Systems where powerful people often move through the same rooms, even when they shouldn't. For many Americans watching this unfold, the frustration is not partisan, it's institutional, a feeling that rules apply differently depending on who you are, who you know, and how powerful you've become. Ask yourself this. If Epstein had not been wealthy and connected, would his behavior have been ignored for as long as it was? And if these images involved unknown individuals instead of famous names, would the reaction be the same? These are uncomfortable questions, but necessary ones. As more material resurfaces, the challenge for media and the public alike is balance. Transparency without speculation, accountability without accusation, and above all, clarity without sensationalism. Because once facts are mixed with assumptions, truth becomes harder to find. Stay with us. In the next part, we'll examine why Epstein's network continues to haunt public discourse years later, and what this renewed attention reveals about trust, power, and accountability in America today. Before we continue, we want to hear from you. Do you think resurfacing these images helps uncover truth or distracts from meaningful accountability? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments and keep watching.
The reason Jeffrey Epstein's shadow still lingers isn't just about photographs or famous names. It's about something deeper, the public's belief that powerful systems protect themselves, even when individuals inside them fail. When images resurface, they don't answer questions, they amplify them. For many Americans, the Epstein case became symbolic, not just of one man's crimes, but of institutional blind spots, of how wealth and influence can delay scrutiny, of how warning signs can be dismissed when inconvenient, and that's why every new image reignites debate. It's important to say this clearly. Being photographed with Epstein does not imply involvement in his crimes. Many people encountered him socially without knowledge of his actions. That distinction matters. It protects truth from turning into rumor. But the persistence of this story reveals a deeper mistrust, one aimed at systems, not just individuals. People want to know how Epstein secured private jets, luxury homes, elite invitations, and repeated second chances. They want to know why accountability came so late, and they want to know whether lessons were actually learned or quietly forgotten. This is where the conversation often shifts from individuals to institutions. Did financial power buy silence? Did social status discourage questioning? Did political and business networks prioritize access over accountability? These questions don't accuse, they examine. And in a democracy, examination is not optional, it's essential. The renewed attention also highlights a challenge for modern media. How do you inform without inflaming? How do you contextualize without sensationalizing? How do you report responsibly when public trust is already fragile? Because the danger isn't just misinformation, it's cynicism, the belief that truth doesn't matter because consequences never reach the top. That belief, if left unchallenged, erodes more than confidence, it erodes civic faith. The Epstein case reminds us that accountability should not depend on headlines. It should not rely on leaks or resurfaced photos. It should be systematic, transparent, and impartial, no matter how powerful the individuals involved may be. So where does this leave the public? With a responsibility to question carefully, to separate fact from inference, to demand transparency without assuming conclusions, and to remember that justice is strongest when it is precise, not loud. As this story continues to resurface, the most important outcome is not outrage, it's reform. Stronger safeguards, earlier intervention, clearer oversight, and systems that don't depend on public scandal to act. Ask yourself this: what would real accountability look like, not just in this case, but in the next one that hasn't happened yet? That's the question worth staying with. We want to hear from you. Do stories like this restore accountability or deepen distrust? Comment below, stay engaged, and keep watching, because understanding power, truth, and responsibility is not a one-day conversation.